So Endless Studios is very simple at its core. We bring youth together to build video games. Video games are software. In fact, they're the most multidisciplinary piece of software. They involve art and design and engineering, and you have to manage them, so it gives you a practice as manager. You have to take it to market, so now you have to learn how to market it. And so the act of building a game is the act of entrepreneurship in its smallest form. You build a product and you take it to market. And so what Endless Studios does is it brings youth together, mostly focused on high school and college, and it allows them to build games. And then we have mentorship, we have tools, we have a community, we have a number of things that scaffold you along the journey of learning so that you can start as a novice and enter all the way up to professionals as interns in real professional games.
My question here, why it has to be games? You know, what is the criteria behind this? Why do we have to gamify everything now?
Great question. So first, I don't think we have to gamify everything. But learning software, which is the most important skill, that takes hours and hours and hours to learn. I mean, literally hundreds, thousands, as they say, 10,000 hours is what it takes to become an expert at something. The average kid spends 10,000 hours playing video games. Now, I don't think that's necessarily a good thing, playing those 10,000 hours of video games. Our goal is to take those hours and that passion and to turn it into something that's productive.
Let's talk about the gaming competition you're doing here in the United Arab Emirates. What's the goal behind it and what you're doing exactly?
Yeah, so the first thing, is why are we even in the UAE? Yeah. The way that we look at this is our goal is to move forward like humanity. When the Industrial Revolution happened, it happened because 65% of people in the UK got literacy. And the literacy attached to the printing press was what unlocked the Industrial Revolution and everything changed. Mm-hmm. So if you can create digital literacy, digital fluency of an entire population, I believe you can create an entirely new version of humanity. Now, that may be overstating things, but it's what I believe. When I was recently speaking with some students who went through one of our programs and asked, what would the world look like? What would the UAE look like if every kid went through the experience that you went through? Their answer was Silicon Valley. And so that's what we're trying to do. And there's no country in the world that has the vision the way the UAE has, that has the resources the way the UAE has, and has the ability to unlock access to an entire population in this way. And so the UAE Game Makers Competition really is the opportunity to launch at a national level and involve lots of youth. Basically, any high school or any college student, come and join, compete, participate in the creation of a game. We provide programs and scaffolding so that if you don't know how to build a game, we'll teach you how to build the game. But ultimately, it's a way of engaging literally the entire country in the process of learning how to build software.
Let's move now to Endless Foundation. Tell me, what's the main goal behind this foundation? What are you doing to guarantee access to laptops to kids so they can gain the skills they need for today's jobs?
Great question. So Endless Studios was actually born out of the Endless Foundation. Endless Studios is focused on building kind of the engine that allows us to create all of these wonderful things. The Endless Foundation is focused on how do we get that to the people who need it the most. And there are really two halves to the Endless Foundation. The first is the game-making programs. So the game-making programs that are running in the UAE are more hands-on programs. But we're also working in places around the world, in Africa and Latin America. We're hoping to do a lot in the Middle East, in inner cities in America. The foundation basically says, how do you take those programs and make them so that they scale?
It's a global foundation, right?
We are very much a global community. The idea is you create a global community of people who are making things together, and everyone's then learning from each other.
Mm-hmm. Who's your partners?
So we're working with KIPP in America, ASU, which is the #1 most innovative university in America for 9 years in a row. We're working, we hope, in Jordan. We're hoping to work at a national level in the Seychelles.
So you're partnering up also with governments here in the region?
With governments, with big nonprofits, One Laptop Per Child, so all sorts of organizations. And Basic Games for Change, I mean, a long list of organizations that we're working with on the foundation side to say, how do you get this to everybody?
How do you get this to everybody?
So, well, the final piece of that is a couple billion people have computers, about 5 billion people don't have computers. Computers are still the work and study tool of today. If you don't have a computer, you're never going to be in an equal situation as someone who has a computer. And so Endless actually started by trying to solve that problem. And what we discovered was that we went and we said, we're going to build the cheapest computer in the world, and then we realized people still needed financing. And when we went and provided financing for people, we discovered that all of a sudden now they wanted high-end laptops because they could afford it with the little mini payments. And then we said, great, we got banks, but then the banks didn't want to give the loans. And so what we then discovered was that Africa had the same problem with solar panels. And they solved it by having something you call pay-as-you-go technology. It's very simple. When you pay, you get electricity. When you don't pay, the electricity turns off. It's like your electricity bill. If you want electricity, you keep paying, and what that meant was that people kept paying. So now you could finance it. So we're applying the exact same thing to laptops. So it's a pay-as-you-go financing mechanism that means that all of a sudden billions more people can afford the cost of a laptop because it's small payments over time.
So you told me why you choose the UAE to do the gaming competition, but I want you to tell me why you have one team in the US and the other team here in Abu Dhabi in the United Arab Emirates. Your father actually also chose to expand the family office, and he chose Abu Dhabi to be here to expand the global footprint, let me put it that way. So tell me why you chose the UAE, and you have moved, you and your family here.
I love it here, I really do. I was watching Hamilton with my wife here, and there's a song, The Greatest City in the World, and it was talking about New York in the 1700s, and I feel like that's what this is today. I turned to my wife, I said, I think we're in the greatest city in the world, and she says yes. So first of all, I just think it's such an exciting and invigorating place to be. But the game development talent is in America. And so when it comes to building complicated games, that's the best talent in the world. But our goal is to basically use those people to then train people here to level up and learn from them so that in the future generations of game development talent are organically bubbling up from here. And so if you look at the stories that there are to be told, 91% of Emiratis are gamers. I mean, it's incredible engagement. It's the highest engagement, I believe, in the entire world is in this region, in the Middle East. And yet none of their stories are being told. And so the ability for them to be the ones who are building the games that tell their stories, we believe is really important. And even more important than that, the ability for them to have the skills that will get them jobs is literally, I believe, region changing.
Matt, I can't do this interview without asking about your father. I want you to tell me the most important thing that you've learned from him. We all learned from him a lot, but I want you to tell me what is the most important thing that you've learned from your dad.
So he always encouraged us to pursue our passion. There was a time when he wanted me to go into the family business and into investing, but more important than that was that we found something that we would be passionate about. And so one of my brothers is interested in film, and he encouraged him to go into film. And for me, he always made it clear, you have to love what you do.
Passion. So follow your passion.
Follow your passion. Mm-hmm. As he says, I think that it says follow your passion and don't forget about the money.
Okay.
You have to be able to pay for your own living, and you have to be able
That's
to
why you did Endless Studios and Endless Foundation.
Yeah. That's right.
Yeah.
And the foundation's good at certain things, bad at certain things. The company's good at certain things, bad at certain things as a structure. And so that is also why we have done both.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.